Nobody expected the poor black girl to walk into the most expensive school in town wearing secondhand shoes, and walk out months later as the girl who changed everyone's lives forever. Before we dive deeper into this story, hit the like button and subscribe now. Here you'll find life-changing stories that will keep you inspired every single time. 16-year-old Amara Johnson stood at the gates of Brookshire Academy, her heart pounding. She clutched her worn backpack, the one her mom had stitched back together twice, and looked up at the marble sign that screamed money. The parking lot shimmered with luxury cars, Bentleys, Ferraris, names she'd only ever seen in magazines. Every step she took toward the building felt heavier, like the air itself was whispering, "You don't belong here." Inside, whispers followed her like shadows. Is she the scholarship girl? She probably lives in the bad part of town. Did you see her clothes? Amara kept walking, holding her head high, pretending not to hear. But when she opened her locker for the first time, a folded note slipped out, "You'll never fit in here." That was her welcome to the world of the rich and cruel. Yet, beneath her quiet smile burned a determination no one could see. She wasn't just smart, she was brilliant. And she promised herself that no amount of humiliation would break her. Her first class, Advanced Mathematics, was like a battlefield. When the teacher asked who could solve a complex equation, the room fell silent, until Amara raised her hand. The students smirked, waiting for her to embarrass herself. But when she finished the problem in seconds, the teacher's eyebrows shot up. "That's correct," he said. The silence that followed was thick, broken only by a boy's mocking clap from the back. Guess the scholarship's good for something. His name was Ethan, son of a millionaire real estate mogul, school golden boy, and self-proclaimed king of Brookshire. From that day on, Ethan and his friend group made it their mission to remind Amara that she didn't belong. They whispered in the hallways, snickered during presentations, and one day, during lunch, they accidentally spilled a chocolate smoothie all over her uniform. The cafeteria exploded in laughter. Amara froze, her tray trembling in her hands. Then she took a slow breath, wiped her shirt with a napkin, and said softly, "You'll regret that one day." The laughter died. There was something about the calm in her voice that unsettled them. That night, Amara cried silently on the bus ride home. Her mom, exhausted from her cleaning job, noticed her swollen eyes. "You're stronger than them, baby," she whispered, brushing Amara's hair back. "Don't let their money make you feel small. True wealth isn't in the pockets, it's in the heart." Those words lit a fire inside Amara. The next morning, she walked into school not as the poor girl trying to fit in, but as someone quietly preparing to rise. Weeks turned into months. Amara studied late, often falling asleep over her books. She started tutoring younger students, earning a few dollars here and there to help her mom with groceries. Slowly, some students began to notice her kindness, her patience, her brilliance. But Ethan? He hated it. He couldn't stand seeing this poor girl gaining respect. So he planned one last act of humiliation, a moment that would either destroy her or make her unforgettable. It was the night of the school's annual fundraising gala, an event dripping with diamonds, gowns, and fortune. Amara had been invited because she'd won a science competition, earning a seat at the table among millionaires. But Ethan had a plan. A cruel, public, unforgettable plan. As Amara entered the hall wearing a simple dress her mother had sewn, cameras flashed. Every head turned, not because of her dress, but because of the quiet confidence in her eyes. She didn't know yet, but that night, she was about to teach everyone, including Ethan, what true class really looked like. Just as the music faded and the host called her name to the stage, Ethan smirked from the crowd, holding something in his hand that could ruin everything she had worked for. The gala sparkled like a scene from a dream. Chandeliers dripping gold, laughter echoing off marble walls, and the scent of expensive perfume hanging thick in the air. Amara stood near the entrance, heart pounding, clutching her small purse like a lifeline. She felt every pair of eyes on her, some curious, some cruel. Her simple sky blue dress didn't shimmer like the others, but there was something radiant about her, a quiet dignity that no amount of money could imitate. When the principal spotted her, he smiled warmly. "Ah, Miss Johnson. Our scholarship star. Tonight's about celebrating young brilliance." His words drew a few polite claps, but Amara could feel the whispers. "Star? Please, she's Charity. That dress looks handmade." She ignored them, her mother's voice echoing in her mind, "Walk like you belong there, even if they think you don't." Ethan watched from across the ballroom, his tuxedo perfectly pressed, his smirk sharper than ever. His friends gathered around, chuckling. "Ready for the show?" one of them whispered. Ethan held up his phone, showing a video footage of Amara from weeks ago, when she'd been cleaning up trash after a volunteer event. The plan was simple, projected on the big screen just as she received her award, turning admiration into mockery. "Let's remind everyone what kind of star she really is," he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. Moments later, the lights dimmed. The host stepped up, microphone in hand. "Tonight, we honor one exceptional student whose intelligence and perseverance have inspired us all. Please welcome Amara Johnson." Applause filled the room. Amara took a deep breath, walked toward the stage, and looked out at the sea of wealthy faces, people who measured worth in fortune, not in heart. She began to speak, voice trembling at first but growing stronger with every word. "I came to Brookshire with nothing but a dream. I thought being poor meant being invisible. But I learned that value isn't found in your bank account. It's found in your choices." And then, the screen behind her flickered. Gasps rippled through the crowd as the humiliating video began to play. There she was, in old clothes, picking up garbage, sweat glistening on her forehead. Laughter spread like wildfire. Ethan leaned back, satisfied. But Amara didn't flinch. Instead, she turned, watched the video for a moment, and then faced the audience again. "Yes," she said calmly, "that's me. Cleaning up after the event that most of you left early from. Because I believe greatness isn't about looking rich. It's about leaving the world better than you found it." The room fell silent. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then, a slow clap echoed from the back. The principal stood, eyes shining with pride. "That," he said, "is character." One by one, others joined in. The applause grew louder, drowning out Ethan's smirk. His friends shrank back, realizing the prank had turned against them. Amara stood there, tears welling in her eyes, but her smile steady. Later that night, as the gala ended, a woman approached her, elegant, with silver hair and kind eyes. "My name's Eleanor Brooks," she said softly. "I sponsor this academy. I saw what you did tonight. The world needs more people like you." She handed Amara a card. "Call me tomorrow. I'd like to offer you something." Amara froze, heart racing. Could it be a job? A scholarship? A chance to change everything? As the doors closed behind her, Ethan watched, fury burning in his chest. For the first time, his money hadn't won. And something inside him cracked, a realization that all his wealth couldn't buy the one thing Amara had, respect. The next morning, when Amara called the number on the card, she had no idea that what Eleanor Brooks would offer her could rewrite her entire future. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the cracked window of Amara's small apartment. Her mom was already gone, another long day cleaning offices downtown. On the counter sat a note and a few wrinkled bills. "Breakfast money, baby. Make me proud." Amara smiled softly. Her phone buzzed. It was the number from Eleanor Brooks's card. Her hands trembled as she dialed. "Good morning, Mrs. Brooks. This is Amara Johnson." The warm voice on the other end replied, "I'm so glad you called, dear. I've been thinking about you since last night. I want to offer you an internship at my company, Brooks Innovations." Amara's breath caught. That was one of the biggest tech corporations in the city, owned by one of the wealthiest women in the state. "But I'm still in school," she whispered. Eleanor chuckled. "So was I when I built my first prototype. Let's talk over lunch today. My driver will pick you up." Hours later, Amara stood in front of a glass tower that seemed to touch the sky. Her thrift store shoes squeaked on the marble floor as she walked into the reception area. Everything sparkled, gold elevators, sleek desks, a waiting room filled with people in designer suits. She felt like an imposter, but something inside whispered, "You earned this." When Eleanor appeared, She wasn't the distant billionaire Amara imagined. She was warm, sharp-eyed, and surprisingly down-to-earth. "You remind me of myself," she said over lunch. "I wasn't born rich either. I built everything from nothing. What you did last night took courage, and that's a quality money can't buy." As they spoke, Eleanor offered Amara a paid internship that could open doors she never thought existed. "You'll learn how ideas become reality," Eleanor said, smiling. "And maybe one day, you'll run a company of your own." Amara felt her eyes sting. "Thank you," she whispered. "I won't waste this." For the first time, the word future didn't scare her, it excited her. Meanwhile, back at Brookshire, the story of the gala spread like wildfire. Students whispered in the halls, but the tone had changed. Some admired her, others envied her, and Ethan, he avoided her completely. His father had seen the video online and wasn't pleased. "You humiliated yourself, and our name," he said coldly. Ethan had never felt smaller. That night, he sat alone, replaying Amara's calm words in his mind. "True greatness is about leaving the world better than you found it." He couldn't shake them. For the first time, he wondered if maybe she'd been right all along. Weeks passed, and Amara balanced school, tutoring, and her internship. She was learning fast, impressing Eleanor's team with her ideas. She even started a small project, a scholarship fund proposal for low-income students. "I want others like me to have a chance," she told Eleanor one evening. Eleanor smiled. "You have a rare heart, Amara. Most people chase money. You chase meaning." But just as life seemed to bloom, a shadow returned. Brookshire Academy announced its annual business challenge, a competition funded by Ethan's father. The winner would receive $50,000 in scholarship money and media recognition. When Amara signed up, whispers filled the room. "She's brave. She doesn't stand a chance against Ethan." But Amara didn't flinch. She was ready to prove that brilliance and heart were stronger than any fortune. As the announcement ended, Ethan looked across the room at her. Their eyes met for the first time in weeks. His stare wasn't mocking anymore, it was something different. Something uncertain. He forced a smile, but his chest tightened. This time, he wasn't sure who'd walk away victorious. What Amara didn't know was that Ethan's father had already decided who would win. The day of the business challenge arrived with a buzz of excitement. Cameras, reporters, and banners lined the grand auditorium of Brookshire Academy. Parents in designer suits filled the front rows, ready to watch the next generation of future millionaires compete. Amara adjusted the hem of her blazer, a simple one Eleanor had bought her, and glanced at the massive banner, Brookshire Business Challenge, sponsored by Sterling Enterprises. Her stomach twisted. Sterling. That was Ethan's last name. The company his father owned, built on generations of wealth and power. She swallowed hard but stood tall. She'd worked for weeks on her project, a community-based financial literacy app that helped low-income families manage money and build savings. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. It could change lives. Across the stage, Ethan looked immaculate, as always. His pitch. A high-end luxury delivery service, built for millionaires too busy to shop themselves. "Convenience meets class," his poster read. The crowd loved it. Laughter, nods, murmurs of approval. When the judges entered, Amara's heart sank. Among them sat Mr. Sterling himself, his expression cold, detached, as if her presence alone was an inconvenience. Eleanor Brooks sat a few seats away, her calm eyes locking with Amara's. She gave a small nod, a silent message: be brave. One by one, contestants presented. When Ethan took the stage, his charm filled the room. "We live in a world where time is money," he began, voice confident. "And my company will save both." The applause thundered. He turned slightly, catching Amara's eye with a smirk, but this time, it wasn't cruelty. It was fear disguised as pride. Then came her turn. Amara stepped forward, hands shaking, but voice steady. "I grew up where time was something we had plenty of," she began softly. "What we didn't have was money. But what if we could learn to make the little we have grow?" The screen behind her flickered with vibrant colors, real stories of families she'd interviewed. Parents, children, people like her. Her words cut through the glitter and ego of the room. "I'm not here to make millionaires richer," she continued, eyes shining. "I'm here to help those who think they'll never have a chance." For a moment, silence. Then, applause. Genuine, powerful applause that filled the hall like a wave. Eleanor smiled, proud. Even a few judges nodded thoughtfully. But Mr. Sterling? His jaw tightened. He leaned toward the head judge and whispered something. Moments later, the results were announced. In second place, the host said, "Amara Johnson, for Thrive Together." A polite clap. Amara smiled graciously, but her chest burned. She knew her project had touched hearts. Still, Ethan's name came next. And in first place, Ethan Sterling for LuxLink. The crowd cheered, cameras flashed. Ethan stood frozen, guilt flickering in his eyes. As he accepted the trophy, he looked toward his father, who nodded approvingly. But Ethan couldn't shake the hollow feeling. Later, backstage, Amara packed her things quietly. Ethan approached, holding the trophy awkwardly. "You should have won," he said softly. "Your idea, it was better." She looked up, surprised. "Then why didn't you say that on stage?" He hesitated. "Because my father, because your father what?" She cut in, her tone firm. "Owns the judges? Owns the truth." Ethan's face reddened. "You don't understand my world." Amara's eyes glimmered. "Maybe not. But I understand mine. And in my world, integrity still matters." She walked past him, leaving him speechless. That night, as she rode the bus home, her phone buzzed. A message from Eleanor. "Come to my office tomorrow. I have news that will change everything." Amara had no idea that Eleanor's next offer would make her richer, not just in money, but in something far more powerful. The next day, Amara arrived at Brooks Innovations, heart-thudding. Eleanor greeted her with that same kind smile, but this time there was something different in her eyes, something serious. "Sit down, dear," she said, gesturing toward the chair across from her massive glass desk. "I watched that competition last night. You were extraordinary. You had every quality of a true leader." Amara blushed, lowering her gaze. "Thank you, ma'am. But I didn't win." Eleanor leaned forward. "No, you didn't. Because the system isn't built for people like you to win. That's why I'm about to change that." She handed Amara a folder. Inside was a partnership proposal with her name printed across the top. "I want to invest in Thrive Together. I want it under my company's umbrella, with you as co-founder." Amara's breath caught. "Co-founder," she repeated, her voice trembling. "Yes," Eleanor said. "I'll provide the funding and mentorship. You'll run it. Together, we'll help thousands of families gain financial independence." Amara's eyes filled with tears. This was more than money, this was purpose. "Why me?" she asked softly. Eleanor smiled. "Because I see myself in you. You're the kind of rich the world needs, rich in character, rich in heart." Over the next few months, Amara's life transformed. Her face appeared in local newspapers, teen innovator partners with tech giant to empower the poor. She wasn't just the scholarship girl anymore. She was a visionary. Her app launched, connecting low-income families to budgeting tools, mentors, and community resources. Within weeks, downloads soared. Donations flooded in. For the first time in her life, Amara's bank account wasn't empty. She'd earned her own kind of fortune, one built from kindness and grit, not privilege. Meanwhile, Ethan watched her rise from afar. The more successful she became, the more he felt trapped in his golden cage. His father demanded he promote LuxLink, but sales lagged. Investors weren't impressed. People wanted innovation with purpose, and Amara had that in abundance. At dinner one night, Mr. Sterling slammed his glass down. "You let that girl outshine you," he barked. "Do you understand what this does to our family's name?" Ethan finally snapped. "Maybe our name needs changing." The table went silent. For the first time, Ethan wasn't afraid. The next morning, Ethan showed up at Brooks Innovations unannounced. He waited in the lobby until Amara appeared. "Amara," he said, voice unsteady. "I came to apologize. Not the fake kind. The real kind." She studied him carefully. He looked different, tired, humbled. "Go on," she said. "You were right about everything," he admitted. "Money doesn't make you powerful. It just makes you think you are. I used mine to tear people down. You used nothing but heart to lift others up." He took a deep breath. "I want to help. Whatever it takes." Amara hesitated. "Why should I trust you?" Ethan met her gaze. "Because I want to earn it." Silence hung between them. Finally, she nodded slowly. "Then start by volunteering for Thrive Together. No cameras. No applause. Just work." His lips curved into a small, grateful smile. "Deal." And so, the former bully began working under the girl he once mocked. He filed papers, answered calls, and listened to the stories of struggling families. Each one humbled him more than the last. And as he worked, something unexpected happened: friendship. The walls between them began to crumble, replaced by respect. But just when everything seemed perfect, a headline appeared that would shake both their worlds and test everything they'd built. That evening, as Amara reviewed the app's latest analytics, her phone buzzed. A notification flashed: "Breaking news. Tech scandal rocks Sterling Enterprises." She froze. Headlines scrolled across her screen: "Luxury app fails. Investors withdraw millions. Sterling family faces public backlash." Ethan's LuxLink, the empire built on wealth, status, and convenience, was crumbling. Amara felt a pang of sympathy, despite everything. But then a thought hit her: this could be the moment to prove the difference between hollow fortune and true impact. She glanced at Ethan, who stood stiffly behind her, jaw clenched, guilt evident in his eyes. "Amara, I don't know what to do," he admitted. She turned, meeting his gaze, and said softly, "You start by helping people. That's where it begins." The next day, Amara and Ethan worked side by side. Families called in for guidance, workshops were organized, and donations streamed into Thrive Together. Ethan listened, learned, and slowly began to understand what money could not buy: empathy, patience, and respect. Meanwhile, news outlets picked up the story of the scholarship girl and the once rich bully now working together to transform lives. Social media exploded. From rich bully to humble partner, a teen teaches billionaires a lesson. Amara's name was everywhere, but she remained focused, reminding herself that her mission was larger than fame or wealth. Months passed, and Thrive Together flourished. Amara's app reached tens of thousands of families, providing tools to manage money, access scholarships, and learn valuable skills. Families wrote letters expressing gratitude, some sharing tears, some stories of triumph. One note stood out: "Your work changed my son's life. He now believes he can succeed without needing to be rich. Thank you." Amara smiled, tears welling in her eyes. For the first time, she realized that real wealth isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in lives touched. Ethan continued to struggle with his own identity. His father's empire faltered, forcing him to rethink his priorities. But he found purpose in the work he'd once mocked. At one community workshop, he caught himself smiling genuinely as a single mother explained how the app had helped her pay bills for the first time in months. That smile, humble, unguarded, marked a transformation even deeper than any boardroom victory. Amara noticed it too. She didn't need to say a word. His growth was visible, and it filled her with a quiet satisfaction. Then came the unexpected twist. Eleanor Brooks, impressed by Amara's impact, invited both her and Ethan to a national summit on youth entrepreneurship. "I want the world to see what true leadership looks like," Eleanor explained. On stage, they shared their story: Amara's rise from scholarship student to social innovator, and Ethan's journey from privilege and arrogance to humility and empathy. Cameras captured every reaction, audiences were moved to tears, and headlines praised the unlikely duo. Amara glanced at Ethan, and for the first time, they exchanged a look not of past resentment, but of mutual respect and understanding. But just as the applause settled, a reporter whispered something that made Amara freeze. There's a foundation willing to fund your project with millions, but only if Ethan leaves your team. Amara's heart raced as she read the reporter's text. Millions of dollars could expand Thrive together far beyond anything she'd imagined. But at what cost? She looked at Ethan, standing nervously beside her. His expression was open, vulnerable, and she realized that this moment would define everything, not just their project, but their values. She took a deep breath. "I won't let money dictate who we are," she said quietly. "If this foundation wants our work, they'll have to accept both of us. No one gets left behind." Ethan's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "I've built this from my heart. That's stronger than any fortune." The foundation's representative raised an eyebrow, silently judging. Word of her decision spread quickly. Headlines now read, "Teen Innovator Chooses Integrity Over Millions." Social media erupted with admiration, praising Amara for her courage. It wasn't about wealth or status or privilege. It was about character, resilience, and moral courage. Parents and educators shared her message with children everywhere. True richness comes from kindness, empathy, and doing what's right. Even Ethan, once a bully, felt transformed. He realized that no amount of money could teach the lessons he had learned in these months: the value of respect, humility, and teamwork. The foundation relented. They agreed to fund Thrive together with Ethan included, impressed by Amara's vision and unwavering integrity. With the funding, Amara expanded the app, hired more staff, and launched nationwide workshops. Families across the country began to benefit. Letters and videos poured in, stories of children learning to manage their allowances, parents paying off debts, and students dreaming of college for the first time. Each message reminded Amara of why she had endured the ridicule, the doubt, and the challenge, to create real change in the world. Ethan worked tirelessly by her side, mentoring students, attending workshops, and learning from Amara's humility and focus. The public saw them not just as a team, but as a symbol, the unlikely alliance of wealth and heart, showing that true power comes not from money, but from compassion. Slowly, the whispers of his arrogance were replaced by respect. He had learned a lesson no inheritance could ever buy, and Amara had guided him, not with anger but with grace. Years later, Amara stood at a school auditorium, speaking to a crowd of young innovators. "I was once the new girl who didn't fit in," she said, her voice steady. "I was poor, underestimated, and mocked. But I learned that wealth isn't in your bank account. True richness is in how you treat others, how you rise above cruelty, and how you lift people up." She glanced at Ethan, smiling beside her, and the audience erupted in applause. They weren't just witnesses to her success, they were inspired to create their own. And so, the girl who had once been humiliated by rich bullies became a symbol of hope, resilience, and moral courage. She proved that one person's determination, kindness, and intellect could transform lives, and even reform the heart of someone who once thought money was everything. Amara had not only built a fortune of her own, but one measured in impact, empathy, and legacy. Money can buy comfort, status, and power, but it cannot buy integrity, empathy, or the respect of those whose lives you touch. Amara taught the world that the truest wealth is found in courage, heart, and the choice to always do what is right. True richness is in the impact you leave on others, and anyone, no matter where they start, can change the world. If you enjoyed this story, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and tell us in the comments, what part of this journey moved you the most? Here's another story waiting for you, and I'm sure it will change the way you see the world. Thank you for watching. See you soon.